Hey, hi, it's Joe. It's week 39, and the topic this week is coming out at work. So, if you have a job, or if you've had a job that you've had to come out at, how do you go about that? How do you go about talking to, interacting with colleagues and or the public regarding, your gender and stuff? Basically, how do you negotiate working and, being trans, being an employee, sorry, and being trans. Personally, because the time, look at this, because the time at which I was working full time was between school and uni, so a few years ago now, I haven't, and pre me figuring out I was a dude, I have not had the experience of having to come out as trans. Sorry, this shirt is way too big for me. It's just really unflattering, and I'm just gonna take it off. I have a t-shirt and tank top on. Don't panic. Don't panic. Yeah. So I haven't had the experience of having to come out at a full-time job, because I haven't had one for the past couple of years because I've been studying. But the thing that I have experienced is having to come out at my summer job, which is I work at Hampton Court Flower Show for a local nursery, which is good fun. So I worked for them for a couple of years, and they knew I liked the ladies, because I have because of my female partner that I had when I was there, so they knew about that, and they'd been perfectly fine about that, and totally okay. So then the next year that I've been working for them for maybe 3 or 4 years in a row, and the last year was the first year that I'd gone since realising I was definitely trans, and I looked quite different. I hadn't started tea or anything, so it wasn't like I absolutely had to say anything, but obviously I was binding, I looked quite different, I'd had quite a drastic haircut, and I was like, so there's this, and what did I say? I think I said something along the lines of, actually, I'm transitioning to live as male now. I realised, or I explained kind of roughly how I came to get to that point. Oh, I think the way it came up was I said, oh, I have an appointment actually on so-and-so day, which is why I can't work, and that was my appointment with Gender Care with Dr. Armour, and I explained what that was about, and that's how I kind of led into it, so that was quite handy. So yeah, that was fine. They were absolutely fine, luckily. And then my boss was a really sweet guy. Was kind of noticed then for the rest of the week, every now and again I'd be getting gendered correctly, and he'd kind of be like, oh, if he was speaking to someone and they referred to me correctly, he'd tell me about it. He'd be like, oh, that lady just asked if you were my son. Hey, isn't that great? And I'd be like, oh yes, makes my day. Yeah. So he was perfectly fine. People, who I interacted with in terms of, actual customers there were fine. Either they'd read me as male or they'd read me as female, and I just sort of went with whatever they read me as. I didn't it's not the kind of job where you're going to see people on a regular basis, and therefore need to correct them for future reference, so I just sort of went by just going with however they gendered me, particularly as I was preteen and everything, so it was understandable if they did misgender me. So yeah, in terms of advice for that, I would say my instinct about it is not to just bring it up out of nowhere. To have some kind of lead-in is helpful, and to maybe do it, as and when you feel it's necessary, as and when you're uncomfortable with people not knowing. Don't feel like you have to tell people whether you're passing or not. I mean, there's obviously the option of being stealth at work, and to be honest, I think if there's any area of my life in which I envision myself perhaps one day being stealth, it's in the workplace, because that just means you can just get on with your job. A lot of the times people find out you're trans, and it's all they want to talk about, and it's it becomes the only thing they notice about you, and it can just be a bit distracting. Obviously, in the workplace, you don't really want to be distracted. So, obviously that depends on your job. In some jobs, it could be a real advantage. It could be really important. But I think the best advice on this is just whether you're, passing or not, don't feel like you absolutely have to come out unless it's what makes you most comfortable. So yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on that. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Stay cool, bye.